turn myself on the live stream. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Doug, how's it going?
Good morning. Happy Monday. Happy National Pasta Day.
I know. I'm pretty pumped, and I see you got a nice little haircut. Fresh.
I did finally look a little bit less scraggly than I did for the last few months, which is good.
That is good. Did
Yeah.
you go to the salon that you and I used to frequent in Asheville?
No, ever since COVID, we now have somebody who used to work in a salon that cut Katie's hair, went off on her own, does like a show up at your house type thing and cut everydy's hair. So
Wow, you're like a celebrity then.
I know. So I got my in-house, in-home what do you call it? A hair cutter? No. What do you call a barber? No, I don't know.
Maybe I don't know.
Hairstylist, stylist,
Yeah,
stylist.
okay.
Yeah, and
Wow.
so she comes, and that was been the problem. That's why it was so long. Is because she was out of town for like a month, and I just didn't know if I could make myself go back to another hair salon because I'm not crazy about hair salons. So
You get a free beer though sometimes.
I know, but I can just
days.
drink beer at the house, and it's still cheaper.
I'm with you. I absolutely hate. It's one of my several things that I hate is going to get a haircut. I just hate sitting there and waiting and waiting. I mean, it just takes so long to do, and I don't know. It shouldn't seem like if the whole process is an hour and a half to go there and get it and come home. It just doesn't seem like that should be horrible, but it is. I don't like the small talk with the stylist. I
Exactly.
just don't like it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So I like that. Although I don't know. I mean, it seems like I think I saw Cristiano Ronaldo have it, and LeBron James. I think they have haircut people come to their house. So it just seems like a weird thing to do.
Well, but, I mean, I'm a world class celebrity podcaster, daily podcaster now. It only makes sense that I have an at home hairstylist.
Yes, I would say so. All right, so let's see. We've got a bunch of the normal crew is here. Stevens, it was some good big soccer weekend. Steven and I were watching some of the games, texting a bit about them. Mostly I was trying not to hear any spoilers because I was at the kids' soccer's. There's a compliment. How do you use compliment chocolate protein powder? Suggested water plant milk ratio. We probably shouldn't be doing customer service on this channel for everyone's to hear, but I don't know if there's a suggested thing. I think you just mix it until it tastes good. Is that accurate?
I think that's right. Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. So weekend update, Doug. What'd you get into? Any fun cooking or anything relevant to the show, or any just good stories?
I had a great outside weekend this weekend. Did the whole fall thing. We bought Chloe, my 2-year-old, one of those seats that straps on the back of my bike, and we just cruised around town all weekend, and it was really fun. Yeah, it was a good weekend. And she ate almost an entire thing of Just Egg the other day.
Wow.
It was crazy.
Just Egg is on our list today.
I know.
Do you worry about the high center of gravity that you do when you add the kid seat? Does that throw you off at all to the bike?
It does. Yeah. Yeah.
I worry about that. When I see those things, I get panicky.
Well, what the biggest difference is, we live in the mountains, we live in the hills. There's lots of hills around, so it's kind of hard to not go up a big hill. And the biggest change was I was going up a steep hill on a route that I take every day, and did the stand up thing. But when you stand up, you kind of push your bike over to a side as you crank a little bit harder, and and there's this 40-pound weight now on the back of the bike, and I did it once, and I mean we almost went down. It was a no more standing up if she's on the back of the bike.
Yeah. So this is like the road biking that I'm already opposed to.
But now with a 2-year-old in the back. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I've made my stance known, Doug, and I'm not going to be happy if something happens, but I'm going to say I warned you. This is not healthy behavior. But each his own. You can do what you want.
Yeah. How was your weekend, Matt?
It was kind of a lot of soccer driving. We drove to 4 different kids' soccer games and a birthday party, and so I feel like there was no weekend actually. We just sort of I feel like I went to bed Friday night, and now it's Monday morning. So here we are. Did not make it to the Pineville to the fair, the fall festival that I was hoping to get to, but I did wake up to their fireworks one night, so that was nice.
Good.
Let's see. Someone says Doug. Okay, the person who says Doug, that's my daughter Ellie, who's here in the live studio audience because she's off school today. I don't know why she's trying to distract from the show. and also doesn't know how to spell
I
Doug.
got a phone call and probably cut out for a second at that point, but and continue to be glitchy. I might be having internet issues.
Okay. I do like how she
Uh,
spelled your name D-U-G. Just
I know, it's great. That's great.
pretty good.
Uh, I got a funny story. So,
Okay.
Ellery, your daughter, loves watching the show and listening to it, I guess,
Listening to
at
recording.
night,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So, woke up this morning and my kid had a fever and was sick,
Ooh.
and so she was up early, I was up early, and was kind of doing the kid thing, and let her watch a little something on my phone as I was kind of getting dressed and stuff, and she put on Sesame Street because that's kind of her go-to, and then she said, no, 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 daddy show, and I guess when I did the Amazon Live thing,
Uh-huh.
Katie and the girls watched it, so she wanted to go back and watch the Amazon Live thing about me making a smoothie, which I just thought was so funny. I thought that was great.
That is funny. You
Yeah.
think she would be into a plant-based morning show recording on Instagram? Or
I
would,
don't
or would talking
imagine.
head kind of not be that interesting?
Yeah, probably less interesting than making a smoothie and stuff, but
Right.
mhm.
Cool. I like it. Well, that's what we continue to do. I put it on last night again when I said goodnight to her. So it's serving that purpose, if none other. All right. So let's see. We've got National Pasta Day today, which I was excited about. I actually have not planned any dinner tonight, but Monday night's a night when we can actually make a little dinner. So I'm gonna figure out some sort of pasta thing to make. But I'd love to know what people's favorite pasta is. Pasta is, I would say, has become my favorite food in recent 10 years. I make it a lot from scratch, but often not from scratch. We just have it all the time. That's kind of the first, when I think about meal planning, the first thing I think of is what pasta dishes do we have the ingredients for? Could I throw together? Um, I'm beginning to think it's not the healthiest of foods. And one article we're going to get into today talks about ultra processed food, and they this idea of just like grinding whole grains into flour, and the link to inflammation. Now that's been something that's been going on forever, so it's hard to call that ultra processed. But I do wonder about it, and even the stuff like the Banza pasta, which is made from chickpeas, even that does not escape this problem that like the structures of things get broken down when it's ground into flour. So anyway, I have had it a little bit less recently, I'd say, just because of that. And I can't get into the veggie pasta stuff like the zucchini noodles. I love zucchini, Doug, in all other contexts, but
Sure.
When it comes to pasta noodle ribbons, I just can't do it.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, so I say I eat less pasta now than I used to, but I'm into it, and I would say far prefer kind of a dumpling style pasta than like a long noodle. So like a hand formed sort of thing, like a gnocchi, or a gnocco, I guess it would be the singular, or just those kind of chunky, chewy pastas I like better than a long.
Do you like them when they're stuffed? Like you like a ravioli type thing, or?
Not really. I mean, it's not that I don't like that stuff. It just you almost never find vegan versions of
Yeah.
those,
Yep.
and to make them is just takes all day, and honestly, it's not worth it to me. So I just mean just good old like toothsome handmade pasta is delicious, I think.
How often are you making pasta noodles or of some sort?
I would guess nowadays it's probably like once every 3 weeks. Every weekend,
Okay.
once every three weekends, we'll make something. It used to be, I mean, there were times when we were doing it all the time. Like during COVID, we
Yeah.
did it twice a day sometimes, and just did it. So I've gone through periods where it's every weekend and stuff like that. But I don't know, just recently a little bit less for whatever reason. It's a good
Mm.
activity. I don't know, it's rewarding and relaxing, and I like it.
What's your go-to sauce?
I have so many red sauces. I don't know which is my favorite. I'd say if I was having people over, I had to make something good. I have a really good one where it just starts with like San Marzano tomatoes, and you just cook those, and then you also make this garlic basil infused oil, and then you add that together at the end. It's just delicious. So I don't know. I have a lot of red sauces that I do.
Okay.
How about you? I don't
So,
hear you talk about pasta that much. You must not be a huge pasta fan.
I mean, we eat pasta maybe once a week, probably. Sort either chickpea
Mm-hmm.
bonsai pasta or a whole grain pasta, and I don't even know if this is like a real Italian thing or if this is just an American pasta, but the wheels that they almost have like little spokes in it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
that's my favorite pasta. I think that it coats so well.
Oh, yeah.
It captures the sauce up in the little pockets, and it just each
Uh-huh.
bite is just a little bit so good.
Wow. Okay.
So I'm a
I've
I'm a
never had the
wheel
wheels.
I'm a wheel fan.
Where do you
I'm
get
a
the
go.
wheels? You get them in a regular grocery store, or do you have to go to like some
Yeah,
fancy
no,
place?
you just go they're just with the pasta.
Okay. Well, I mean
But
that's more like what I'm talking about. When I say dumpling, that's closer to what I mean than like a long,
okay,
stretchy noodle. It's not, but I get it. So I'm gonna try that.
yeah,
Now you don't find those in whole wheat varieties, I'm sure, do you?
sure, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Wow, I feel like I have limited selection to whole wheat pastas. If I'm getting that, it's like penne maybe, rigatoni possibly, or like regular spaghetti noodles.
Spaghetti, yeah.
I don't have a lot of shape options when it comes to whole wheat.
I think I can get just about everything in whole wheat in my grocery store,
Wow. Okay.
which is good. Or
Good for
well,
you.
I don't know if that's quite true, but close. There's a lot of them, and we do eat a lot of red sauce and a lot of homemade red sauce, or like a simple red sauce with or I don't even know if you call it red sauce, but just like tomatoes that you're sautéing down, and a little bit of oil and whatever. Um, so we definitely do that, but if I'm gonna say a favorite, it's got to be something that's a little bit creamier, maybe something with cashew cream in there or something like that. Mimics
Mhm.
mac and cheese a little bit. I don't know, something that can really get into all those little pockets on the wheel.
Right.
So
Yep.
it's just
What dictates the shape is the shape to use with a certain sauce is the one that will generally hold the sauce, that particular sauce, in the best way.
right,
And I
right.
didn't mention pesto pasta. We very, very
Oh
commonly
yeah.
eat pesto pasta,
Uh-huh.
especially because now you can get these vegan pestos fairly easily. I think we've mentioned Gotham Greens is the Whole Foods brand. They're making some other dips now, but you can get their pesto. They make a vegan and a non-vegan version. Trader Joe's, I think, has a vegan like kale one. They may even have a basil one, but that's a really nice, like, just throw it onto some noodles dish if you need a quick dinner. Uh, so this is a nice segue to what Steven said, and some other people have chimed in. Steven says, keep it simple, aglio olio, which is just simple oil garlic sauce. Um, the problem with that, I like that too. That is really delicious when you make that. It is usually just oil, garlic, some crushed red pepper, maybe some parsley, and just spaghetti noodles is what that typically is, as far as I know it. And of course some salt. But like, the reason I don't eat that much is because it just seems like it's all about the noodle, so that you can't really put a whole wheat noodle in there. It's just not going to be the same. And so then you're basically eating refined white flour with oil added and like some flavorings, and it's just hard to call that a healthy meal. Uh,
Yeah.
so I sometimes get the same vibe with pesto, and I think if I'm just putting pesto on pasta, sometimes we'll have potatoes and green beans, and it becomes a healthier meal. But just the pesto sauce on the noodles seems kind of like not very healthy. So when we do that, we'll tend to use the Banza, and then it's not the worst quick throw together meal because you're eating chickpeas basically, although they're ground up. The Whole Health Experience says red lentil ziti. I have a feeling that is the one from Trader Joe's. I could be wrong because there are other ones, but Trader Joe's makes a red lentil pasta that is shaped sort of like a ziti or rigatoni thing.
Hmm.
Cauliflower noodles, konjac root noodles. I've not had most of those. And then they also said hearts of palm noodles, which is kind of interesting.
Oh,
I know hearts of
I've not
palm
had that either.
yeah, they make interesting kind of like, I think, meat substitute things. I think I've seen hearts of palm scallop things, like a whole vegetable meat substitute, which is kind of interesting. Um, Someone else says spaghetti squash. See, I do not get into these vegetable noodles very much at all. Uh,
I like spaghetti squash quite a bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't had it that much, but
I don't really think of it as like a pasta dish though. Like I don't if I'm having a spaghetti squash, like I don't think of myself as having a pasta dish, if that makes sense. It's
right,
just a spaghetti
right,
squash dish.
right. And Dr. Francisco Mestre, who I think said that he's from Colombia, do you consider oil as part of a healthy diet? I kind of do. I consider extra virgin olive oil as part of a healthy diet, but again, like, I wouldn't want to just have that in white flour and say that's my dinner, which is what aglio olio pasta typically is. Um, so yeah, I think in small amounts, maybe even large amounts sometimes. I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm back and forth, and I honestly don't know. Uh, but recently, to me, the stuff I've seen recently seems to be more in favor of it than, say, 5 years ago when everyone was thinking oil was an awful food.
Yeah.
Uh, but I don't
Does
know.
the
Curious
doc
to hear what you think, Dr.
Yeah, does the doctor
Francisco.
want to jump in?
Yeah, there we go. Um, all right, Doug. So let's move on here. We've done a lengthy introduction to this show, I would say. I came across an article. More bad news for Beyond Meat. If it just keeps coming, this isn't necessarily new, but they're a lawsuit that began 5 years ago. They had the trial. I think they're starting or having this week or last week. So it's this thing with Don Lee Farms, which used to be a supplier of Beyond Meat. And supplier, I wondered what that meant in the context of Beyond Meat. What it just meant is Beyond Meat was sending them, I think, raw ingredients, and they were actually putting together the food. So maybe Beyond Meat was with their technology doing their thing, and then from there, this place would package it up and put it into the shapes. I don't know. But anyway, the claim is by Don Lee Farms, among other things about working conditions and them violating a contract and all this stuff about why Beyond Meat stopped, like quickly cut off their supplier relationship with Don Lee Farms. So a lot of the lawsuit is about that stuff. But then one of the claims is that Beyond Meat overstates the protein value of its products by up to 30%, and has falsely represented that its products are free from synthetic ingredients. That's really interesting to me because that protein claim is one, like that's the big selling point as far as nutrition goes on the Beyond Meat's thing, right? When they're trying to sell this to plant-based eaters or people who are maybe hesitant about a plant-based diet, they put the big protein number on there and they say that each one of these has 25 grams of plant-based protein or whatever. And that tends to make people interested, for better or worse. I don't know if it really should, but it does. And then the saturated fat, they say that it's lower saturated fat usually than the animal counterpart. But protein's a big one. So if that were truly overstated by 30%, which I'm doubting it's all the time overstated by 30%, if at all, that's a pretty big thing. If they had to lower that number by that much, that would not be a good thing for the company.
No, definitely not. I think that would be a game changer in the kind of positive spin on Beyond Meat. But this is 5 years old. Surely, if there was any meat to this claim, then they would have already adjusted the packaging so that to minimize the issue. But I mean, who knows? I don't know. It's a big deal.
One would think. So anyway, nothing new really happening there, but they list a bunch of witnesses and all that. So we'll keep an eye on it and we'll report as we like to. It's become like after we talk about whatever the show intro thing is, our first article is Beyond Meat's bad news of the day. And it's, it's either they're laying off 20% of their employees, or someone bit somebody's nose, or the stock is down 95%, or now this. So it's not good right now for Beyond Meat. Okay, another one that we've talked a little bit about, not this story, but this idea. This is from The Sun, a UK paper. Nearly half of Brits tricked into eating vegan food by their partners preferred plant-based dishes. That's the headline. That's not that shocking. What's shocking is the first line of the article says a fifth of people have been tricked into eating plant-based food by their partner and didn't even realize. That seems staggeringly high to me. Off by a factor of 10, maybe. I don't understand how 20% of people have been tricked into eating plant-based food. I mean, who does this? I don't know. I think I've heard maybe of 5 people ever trying this prank on someone. And they're always vegans who want to spread the message.
Right.
We've seen
go ahead.
I mean, we've seen these stats that we question saying 10% of people are vegan. If every single one of these 10% of people who are vegan trick their partner, that's still only accounting for half of the tricks that are happening. So then all even non-vegans are doing this thing. I mean, this doesn't seem right at all. And if you go down the survey, the numbers just get weirder and weirder. So I don't really know what to make of this, but I did want to bring it up because I think the topic is a funny one.
So I was thinking about this, and I wonder if tricked is the appropriate term here, or if maybe a partner goes out and buys some alternative meat, goes home and cooks it, and then serves it and says, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Like, right? Like, is it really the like in the back of the kitchen, like secretly, making sure that you don't see the packaging? I don't think so. There's no way a fifth of people are doing that. But, I mean, I could see like some partner just like trying it and then like, hey, check this out. What do you think? Like maybe that's a little more close.
Possible. Even that, like eating food that you don't really know what it is, or that your partner wouldn't tell you, hey, I made plant-based sausage today, try it out. But instead waiting to have you try, it just seems like an astronomical number. So whatever. 41% though, who were tricked, said they'd consider saying yes to eating more meat-free products in the future, which means that 59% said no, they wouldn't. So that's not great. So anyway, like I said, the study goes on, and there's more and more stuff that it just doesn't make sense or add up logically. So I don't know what was going on here. This was commissioned by the No Meat Company, it's called. We might have a lawsuit for them.
I know. I was gonna say that.
Yeah, we were called No Meat Brands unofficially for a while as we started to have these
Uh-huh.
different companies like Compliment. Uh, yeah, maybe we'll get in our own lawsuit.
Do you think so the other weird thing about this is that, it said what 50% or I don't know the numbers of people said that they preferred the non-meat version, but then when asked if they would like do it, they'd be like, well, I consider trying it again, or I could so it's like even if you think that the burger tastes good, it's not going to actually convince you to like, oh man, this is what I'm going to go to again. Like
Right. They'd consider saying yes. That's what it. Not like I have
like
to have that again. Yeah, just they'd consider saying yes.
yeah, it's funny. It's so funny.
Who knows?
But our European correspondent here gives the Sun a big thumbs down. So I have a feeling they might have a reputation to some of the other magazines that we we sometimes quote.
Yeah, I think so. All right. Other comments. Dr. Francisco Mestre said, "Got it. Yeah, use it in small quantities." So I guess he's actually listening to our advice about the oil. I would go the
Yeah,
other way. If you're a doctor, you should be telling us whether it's healthy or not. We don't know. We just
yeah.
like to talk about things that taste good. And then the whole health experience says, "I've only mixed quinoa and mushrooms into my dad's taco meat. He had no idea, but he realized he was stuffed only after eating two." So that's kind of interesting. I think,
Yeah, so we do have a trickster over here. I like it.
yeah. Although maybe just a diluter. It sounds to me like maybe whole health experience mixed these things in, but didn't necessarily get rid of the rest of the meat. Which honestly, that's a great way to do it. To me, that's if we want to reduce meat consumption,
Yeah,
let's just start
yeah.
diluting with some amount of plant-based meat. Really, I mean that's not going to be good for vegans, but uh, it's not a bad way just to lessen the overall meat consumption.
And if they like it, maybe they'll consider saying yes to it again. You never know.
Get the big stamp of approval that they will
Yeah.
consider saying yes.
All right, what
All
else
right.
we got?
This is one I wanted to get into on Friday, so I alluded to it, but then we never did because interest of time. 3D printed mycoprotein in development for whole cut seafood alternatives. So we talked about mycoprotein recently. It's this protein from mushrooms. It is what Quorn uses, QUORN, as their plant-based protein, which was news to me. I kind of figured they've been around for a long time, so I figured they were doing the soy stuff like everybody else was back in the 2009 2010 time. But anyway, so this is mycoprotein. It's the company Revo Foods, who we mentioned a while ago, that's doing the 3D printed salmon. If you look at the picture of the supposed 3D printed salmon, it looks just like real salmon.
Exactly like it.
And you just have the sense that the texture is going to be pretty darn close just by the way how close
Yeah.
it looks. Well, they've now teamed up with Mycorrhea, which is this mycoprotein based company. So now they're making that same stuff using the same method, but doing it with mycoprotein. And people are saying that the mycoprotein from mushrooms has some health benefits over some of these other foods, and I think it's also somehow particularly amenable to whatever this process is, where they're sort of figuring out the protein structure and mimicking it with their advanced 3D printer, and then making these products. So anyway, so where they're headed now is making whole cut meats, not like just ground up stuff or stuff that's I think the phrase is reconstituted actually when it comes to this stuff. I'm learning these industry phrases, which is I'm not sure if I'm happy about that or not. But the whole cut is sort of the holy grail, and not just seafood, but also steak and things like that. So that's happening now with 3D printing. It's in the works. I found myself asking, like, let's say we can completely mimic the structure of the protein of something using mycoprotein, make a salmon fillet, and then fish famous for its like omega-3 content and healthy fats. They're going to put that in some form or another, probably from algae oil, like we do in the complement product, right? That's where the omega, DHA, EPA come from. It's a very healthy source. It's where the fish get it in the first place, from the algae. And DHA and EPA are really important to get. So let's say they put that now into the 3D printed fish made from mushroom stuff. Like, we're mimicking the whole food, but is our body going to accept this as like, is this going to become health food? And like, certainly we can lose some of the health risks of eating meat, right? Fish, of course, often contaminated with heavy metals. So we would not have that, but like, I'm just wondering, as we go into the future, like, are we going to be able to make healthy foods out of stuff that is, completely fake?
I don't know. Like the whole 3D printing of food is like, it really weirds me out. We talked about this last time because I didn't even know it was a thing until a week or two ago.
Right.
Like for some reason, I know that highly processed food. I know that the Beyond Meats and chicken and stuff like that are not are not in any way natural or unprocessed. But for some reason, just this 3D printing of food just kind of weirds me out. And to think about it ever becoming a health food, just it feels so far removed from anything that's whole or anything that's real or natural that I just have a hard time believing that is ever going to be a health food. Even if it's it has all the good stuff in it, even if it has a similar makeup to an actual fish or something, or an actual vegetable. I mean, are we gonna start 3D printing vegetables now? Like why not do that? If you could do that cheaper than the alternative.
Right.
So I mean, it seems so far removed that, like, personally, I mean, I'm not going to go eat a salmon anytime soon, or if ever again. But like, it almost feels more natural for me to do that as a vegan than to eat a 3D
Right.
printed
It
salmon.
does feel more natural for sure. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that it's less cruelty, and obviously that's a huge motivator for vegans.
Mhm.
So I mean, yeah, like I'd be curious to try a 3D printed salmon steak.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have to imagine I would kind of draw the line there and say, like, I just can't make this like a weekly part of my diet. It just doesn't. I'm just too worried about what we don't know uh,
Yeah.
about. Is it when we're restructuring protein? Like, what are we inadvertently doing when we're making protein into this new structure in some way that our body's going to reject or cause inflammation or whatever? And maybe one day the data is going to be there, the health data, and we'll be able to quickly know what foods are good and bad for us. But I don't know. It's interesting. So then I think, okay, we're kind of banking on this future where plant-based meat is indistinguishable from the real thing, and that's what it's going to take for lots and lots of people, for mass adoption to occur. Uh, and then I'm like, well, this is it. Like, we have
Right.
it.
Right.
But you and I are saying we wouldn't want to do that. So I can't imagine someone else who's used to eating meat still saying, I'm just going to switch over to this thing made in a
Yeah.
lab. So
But
then you get,
isn't Beyond made in a lab too? I mean, like I don't know
yeah,
how they do that, right? And that's the problem, is now I know that about this 3D printing thing, and it kind of weirds me out. But like, who knows what they're doing in there?
yeah. I've read some stuff. Again, I'm becoming an industry expert, I guess, in the plant-based meat thing. Uh, I've read about the process, how they do it, and it's honestly, it's not. It doesn't sound awful. There's extraction, and then there's extrusion, and it's like it's stuff. But it's not going in and like re-engineering the protein structure.
Right.
It's a level beyond or above that. Uh, this is deeper, and there's potential for this to one day be better because we could actually engineer exactly the structure that our body actually wants, and we can exactly
Sure.
mimic the
Uh-huh.
structure of the animal food, like what's happening with the animal-free dairy now, where they're using genetic modification of yeast, or I guess, yeah, micro, whatever they're called, microbes. Um, and with that, they are programming them to ferment things in a certain way, and so they're getting exactly the structure of the dairy protein. So the interesting that we might be able to get it exact. But anyway, this brings me to our next article, which is called, it's from The Guardian, another UK magazine or newspaper, I guess. Fast food fever: how ultra processed meals are unhealthier than you think. And I didn't know that unhealthier was a word, but maybe it is in
Yeah,
in England.
this is the segment. This is Matt critiques the headline segment.
I'd love to find a headline nitpick. Uh, and it happens a lot.
It
So
does.
they're calling these UPFs, ultra processed food. I had never heard that before. Maybe it's a thing. They now form 50% of Britain's calorie intake. And vegans beware, this includes many plant-based meals. So now food scientists are learning more about what makes them so damaging. It's a long article. It's really interesting. I'm sure in the United States it's no different, that we eat larger and larger amounts of ultra processed foods every year. You and I talk all the time about these high tech vegan foods, and mainly that's what we're talking about. These are ultra processed foods. The example they give in the article, which is from someone who spent a long time doing research of this, I believe her name is Dr. Sarah Berry. She even talks about like oat milk as an example. She says, look at oat
Right.
milk.
Yeah.
It's, oats on their own are good, but someone else I think later talks about how, like, grinding the oats up and mixing them with some I think wheat or something, and like that the ground oats, that causes inflammation. So when whatever's happening in oat milk, which you can make that sort of stuff at home by soaking the oats and then blending them, and often you can blend it so small, which is not necessarily a good thing, that it just dissolves right into the water. So it's not like you have to remove fiber, but you're at least changing the structure so drastically that now it dissolves. They're saying that's not a good thing. And same, right? We know that, like, eating whole wheat, especially like whole wheat grains, is
Right.
very, very different from eating even whole wheat flour, where it's been ground down so that your body can now immediately make use of it, and inflammation is higher. So like Chef AJ type diets have no flour at all. If you want to eat whole grains, that's fine, but you can't eat them ground into their flour form because that allows you to take in too many calories
Ah,
too quickly. So
interesting.
like there's a big difference between these flours, and that's why I'm wondering about pasta these days. Um, Even that's like not that great. And so the whole concern really is inflammatory response, and what happens over the long term. And there's a lot of data apparently showing that like people are much more likely to develop cancer before 50 if they're born after 1990 than before 1970. And it is likely that it is UPFs that are to blame. That's just, I mean, it's one suggestion, is it has to do with the way we eat now. And there was some more about all cause mortality going up in some Italian study of people who ate higher amounts of these ultra processed foods. So like I don't know, it worries me long term when we talk about all these new vegan health foods supposedly, and the claims on the packages are about the protein and the whatever. And we're looking at macronutrient ratios, and we're even looking at main ingredients, saying this is made from mushroom protein instead of something else. But if the fact is that it's completely processed and it's like the structure has been changed in this way that our body doesn't know what to do with anymore, uh, we may down the road find out that this is not very good at all. So I'm really I'm kind of interested in this article and this idea in general,
Yeah.
and it's making me think that like I don't know. I know the cultured meat idea where we use the stem cells and all that. That obviously has cruelty issues, major ones, but it is perhaps a more healthy path forward than whatever we want to call this stuff where we're high tech 3D printing our foods.
Yep. Yeah. So the number of 50% surprised me. 50% of calories come from ultra processed foods. That feels really high to me.
Hmm.
But really, like, it's not, it shouldn't be all that surprising because ultra processed foods are typically very calorie dense. You think of crackers, you think of um, I don't know, different snacks, pretzels, all, whatever kind of treats that you would get maybe. Like, that stuff is typically really high in calorie. So, it kind of makes sense that it would be 50%, but that like took me back a little bit. And like, man, that is way more a percentage of our diet than I anticipated. And there's a quote in here that I like. Barry is at pains to acknowledge that while the problem with UPFs may be scientifically well established, it isn't easy on an individual level to deal with. And I think that this is so true because the convenience factor of ultra processed foods, the how how much they've become a regular part of all, how good they are, how much salt and oil and different things are in there that you're attracted to. Like, it is hard to imagine a time where we're shifting away from ultra processed foods when they have really kind of revolutionized how we eat.
Yeah, right, definitely. And whole health experience, by the way. And by the way, whole health experience. I love all your comments. They're always very helpful and well thought out. She, I believe, says ultra processed are usually hyper palatable, which is why people get addicted to them. So that's another huge part of this, right? Like, not only are they unhealthy, but they're making foods that are so addictive, right? And like I think
Right.
that's also partially why Chef AJ happily allows you to eat whole grains, but not those grains ground into a powder, because once you do that, it becomes way more attractive, and something that like activates all these signals that we're just not good at saying no to, because it's kind of hijacking your system. Like, food's not meant to
Yeah.
be this way. So that makes it doubly dangerous. As you kind of alluded to, Doug, like it's hard to deal with this because, like I said, this isn't really easily conveyed in a nutrition facts label. We can see that the ingredients are healthy. We can see that the net amounts of the calories and things in the product may be in line with what we think is fine, but the form that they take or what happened to get them into that package, that's where the danger lies. I saw there was some suggestions in the article, like if we could have with the oatmeal, for example, they were saying this ground, this oat flour sort of thing. Like, if you would put red wine with that, which is an interesting use case of red wine as a health food, or dark chocolate, that these things will sort of calm inflammation in other settings, or maybe even in that setting, and that perhaps that's the path forward, is that like put in additives that somehow blunt that inflammatory response, or the blood sugar response. And it just doesn't sound right to me that like the way to fix this is add more stuff in and make it even higher tech. I don't know. It's just weird. So I don't like where this is going. This makes me want to like never eat fake meat again and just quit this whole show.
Until you start making pasta tonight. And then...
Yeah, I know. Exactly right. Speaking of which, total side note, I had another one of those alcohol-free Guinnesses last night after my disaster on Thursday night when it hit the ceiling. Listen to that episode if you don't know what I'm talking about. It just wasn't good. It was so good last night. I had it, and I was in a better mood now because I hadn't had this massive cleanup project. And I really thought if I had this next to the real Guinness, I don't know if I would be able to tell the difference. Maybe Steven could weigh in if he's still here and agree or disagree. But I am so pumped about alcohol-free Guinness now. I guess it's called 0% Guinness because it's less than 0.5% alcohol by volume. So it's not actually alcohol-free. It's just rounds down to that. Highly recommended. So anyway, I only bring that up because first of all, high-tech food. Second of all, you mentioned like until you start having, right? So like alcohol-free beer sounds good until you have a beer, and then it's like, all right, it's party time, it's happy hour.
Right.
But in the morning, the alcohol-free beer sounds like a great idea. Not to drink in the morning.
I'm gonna get some this week. Do you have to go to like a Whole Foods, or do you think they have it at your state?
I got mine at, like I said, at Total Wine. That's the only place I've seen it.
Okay.
And I don't think you have one of those in Asheville.
No. I will find it.
Look for it.
No.
Yes. Okay. So I think that's good enough. Steven says he noticed some textural difference, but otherwise very close. Yeah, really, it's very, very similar. Okay, so Veg News has an article about mushrooms, Doug. Let's talk about that another day. I wanted to have a little positive note about Whole Foods in here and just talk about some good, healthy mushroom recipes and such. Maybe we can do that tomorrow. But we will end this one with yet another ultra processed food that I think you'll be excited about, Doug. It's your favorite Just Egg, and your daughter's favorite Just Egg is now in a new food called Ming Bings. And have you heard of a Bing, Doug?
No.
I think it is a famous or common food in some other cultures, some Asian cultures. I don't know. This is from reading a Veg News article about it, and then I saw it again in the plantbasemagazine.com. Not the plant-based, but the plant-base. It's another kind of industry magazine. Apparently a Bing, I think, is like a pocket thing filled with egg and other stuff. So it sort of sounds like Hot Pockets, but I think maybe the egg is essential. It's a celebrity chef, Ming Tsai, who has a frozen food line, and these are new plant-based breakfast Bings. It's a U.S. egg brand, and they're going to be stuffing not just egg in there, but other flavors that make plant-based egg and cheese, plant-based sausage, egg and cheese, plant-based chorizo, egg and cheese, and plant-based veggie, egg and cheese. And then the pricing seems interesting: $75 for a 12-pack.
Whoa!
But and $120 for a 24-pack. But they'll be in U.S. stores soon at $7.99 for a 2-pack. So that's like less than half the price of those other things. So I don't understand what that's about.
That has to be a typo or something.
I'm thinking it is. Odd. Yeah, it seems very odd. But anyway, so $7 for 2 of these, that would be a reasonable thing to try. I would not probably pay $75 for 12. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That seems something good. Like I said, I'm out on processed foods now. Since I read that one article this morning.
I get excited
about that.
I am like all in on Just Egg right now. I don't know. I think it's delicious and my daughter does. So I just never see her devour anything like that.
It's a UPF though. You can't give her a UPF.
I know. I can't celebrate her going to town on a UPF, but
no. All right. Well, good. Monday session, got through it. I was honestly, I was a little worried about this one. I was very tired this morning. Had a puppy incident in the night. Not really an incident, just the wake up shift.
Yeah, it seemed a little low energy at the beginning, but I think we got you up there.
Right, definitely. I'm glad we did. So hopefully I'll sleep better tonight and be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. as always with another show. Seems like we didn't have any audio issues today. That's a win. So hopefully we can keep that going for the rest of the week.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, everybody.
Join us, everyone.
Thanks.
Talk to you later.